started. So if you were interested in hearing these presentations from our county and state officials, I invite you to come and take a seat here. Thank you. Aloha, my name is Ashley Kierkiewicz. I'm council member for District 4. I am co-hosting this Revitalize Puna community activation with the disaster recovery team. This is our 5th activation, our commitment to getting information out into the Puna community on a quarterly basis. We've done this online, we've done this in person. We started over a year ago in Leilani Estates, and so we are just so happy to be with all of you, and I want to mahalo nui all of our leadership on the county and state side for taking the time to come out and be with our Puna community today, so mahalo nui. All right, to get us started, to ground us here, I've asked Leilani, Sharice, and Auntie Susie to do an opening protocol to hold this collective space, and that we all enter in with compassion and patience, open-mindedness, aloha, and understanding. Ladies, do you want to come forward and talk a little bit about opening protocol and lead everybody through?
Aloha, McCall. We're going to open with a whole mind, which is a chant that brings everybody together into the same space as we move forward with good intentions. It's very easy. We'll do it 3 times, each time elevating our voice. And please join in. We mahalo you.
Thank you, ladies. All right, in just a minute, I'm going to introduce Douglas Lay, our recovery officer, to kind of walk us through the agenda. But I just also wanted to let everybody know that these activations are made possible through the USDA. Our county is one of 13 across the country that received the Rural Placemaking Innovation Challenge cooperative agreement that allows us entree into additional USDA and EDA resources. So just really appreciative of those funding resources to make this activation happen, and also all of the work that's being done by our resilience capacity areas. If you take a look in your agenda packet, there are a number of commitments that the county and community are going to be working on to increase preparedness and increase our collective resiliency in communities. So if you have questions, you can see any of the folks that are wearing lei. We have a number of our community co-chairs here for the resilience capacity areas. Ladies and gentlemen, if you could stand when I call your name. For social resilience, we have Smiley Burrows and Greg Armstrong. For cultural resilience, Leila Kīlauea and Bob Agris. Economic, we have Susie Osborne and myself. For the built environment, Garrett Smith and Antiku'ule Cooper. For natural environment, Franny Brewer, Michelle Agbigay, and Bethany Morrison. And for our youth capacity area, Hokulani Fortunato. These are spaces that county and community are working collaboratively to make things happen in the community. So if you have questions, need more information, check out with any of these folks. Douglas, if you could walk us through the next piece of our agenda.
Actually, welcome everyone. It's lovely to see a lot of our friends and but also new faces to join us this evening. We're excited to really work together to offer this to our communities throughout Puna every quarter, and really for us to be hand in hand as we make progress in this broader recovery effort, but also looking towards the future. for our community in Puna as well. I have the privilege of talking operations a little bit. So we will spend the next section of our program with leadership from county administration, some guests from the state as well. Planning Director Kern will MC that for us, really to provide the high-level updates. After those updates, we will hold some space for a brief Q&A session or any questions that may come out of the presentations within the group today. But really, after we wrap up, the time is with these tables out here. The county leadership who are joining us today will be stationed there. And if you have more specific questions, really dialogue to engage with, that really is the opportunity after we do a more high-level set of updates in just a few minutes. Lastly, for those of us who joined us and were able to go through that exercise with the stickers and the markers, really collecting community sentiment, you should have been provided this meal voucher. After 5:30, you will be able to get a meal voucher and visit some of our vendors right outside, local folks, and they're very happy to host and give an opportunity to work together. And if you haven't gone through that exercise, you'll have a chance to, once we wrap up the main program. We also have our Partners 50 Resource Road right behind us, really focused on our theme this evening in terms of the natural environment and our food systems, and so they're also here to be a part of today. If you have any questions, like Asha mentioned, around next steps in this event, please find one of us with Lay, and with that, I will hand it off to Director Kern.
Thank you, Douglas. Aloha, everyone. We're back, we're in person, we're in Puna. Let's do that again. Aloha, everyone. Aloha. We're back. Good to see everybody. I'm Zendo Kern. Got the unique honor to be the planning director here. Very special privilege. I want to give a special thanks for the coordination of this meeting to Councilmember Kierkiewicz and the recovery team. They're the ones who make this happen. We get to walk in and then speak. Do a lot of other work getting things moving, but I really want to send appreciation to those for coordinating this event. And for all you showing up, for all you being here, consistent, resilient as we are in Puna. As I drove in this morning, this afternoon, it's been a long day. As I drove in this afternoon, came through a roundabout, came through the whole commercial center. And I remember being in school in Bohol when there was no street lights. Bohol was a no street light town. I remember swimming in this pool over here the first day it was open. Really neat. I remember breaking ground for this park with our late mayor, Billy Kīlauea. And here it is. It's amazing. Long time coming, but in Puna we're quite resilient and we're persistent. And the same qualities have needed to be endured during this recovery process. And we're going to continue with that. We're going to continue pushing forward, making things happen. And it's really neat how it's come full circle that I get to be a part of this conversation. In the planning department, we have a very high-level role, coordination, and I feel a tremendous amount of responsibility. And so we're working collectively with the department, strategizing, trying to clarify things, working with the community, supporting wherever we can, and doing our very best to serve you folks. It's tough, I'll tell you that. It's tough, but we're going to keep trying and doing our very best. We're going to have a presentation by our speakers. They're going to keep it, we said maybe 5 minutes, but we're actually going to call it more like 2 or 3 minutes, folks. Thank you. If you have questions, we're going to do questions a little differently today. We're going to do it by writing them down. We have some question cards in the back. My awesome secretary, Rochelle, back there, she's the one that keeps it all together. We'll be going around from time to time passing out the cards. If you have questions, please raise your hand. I'll get going here in a little bit, make a couple rounds. If you don't have one, you can also get up and just come back and grab one from her. And we ask that if you do have questions, please write them down. Let's not interrupt. Let's keep the Aloha Protocol in full effect and showing the appreciation. We really want to thank all of our directors for coming out, our administration, and again, thank you all for being here. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Mayor Roth to have some opening remarks. Mayor?
Aloha! I'm going to echo some of the things that Zendo said, first of all, thank you for coming out and being part of this, and thank you, Ashley, and the recovery team for doing your role. As Zendo was speaking, I was looking up at this gym. I was thinking 25, 26, 27 years ago, I was in charge of a little project called WeDC Kahoa. And, you know, at that time we were in a room and over at the park down below. And some of you were there at that, and we're talking about the crime and the fear and the things that were happening. And we were competing against Kona to get the weed and seed site. And, you know, we were told that there would be no way in hell that, you know, we can get people in Kahoa to see anything on the same, you know, same level. And yet, we did. At that meeting, I don't know if for those of you who were there was this car that was ripping up and down the street. An officer went out to the car, leaned in the car, and got dragged down the street. It was kind of crazy. During weed and seed times, we did something very similar to this. We had the community talking about things that they would like to see. And I saw John, there he is, standing all the way over there, putting his dots on the board, not even paying attention. And John and Renee Siracusa were talking about roundabouts. And there's roundabouts. We were talking about what do we do for the kids in Kahoa? You know, one of the things we need this really fancy park, and we need, you know, a gym like they have other places. And I look, and not only do you have a gym, correct me if I'm wrong though, but I think this is like the crown jewel of gyms in the county, as far as what you have in here. Absolutely. They talked about businesses and jobs. And, you know, the way that happened was we came together and we listened to the community. I see Yopa over there. Yopa played another big role with the youth, and having our youth summits, and they did their jams and getting the kids involved. You know, there's so many of you I see out there that were part of that. Steve, with Haas, I mean, it brings back memories of those times. We became a nationally known site in weed and seed, one of the most successful in the nation. And the way we did that was listening to the community. So that community that those people in Kona thought, there's no way in hell these guys are going to get their act together, really did a great job. And so as we sit here tonight, getting ready to listen, talk about what's going on, it really is the listening that's really important. So I just want to thank you all who put your dots out there about what you want. That stuff does matter and it does make a difference. And so that's all I have to say. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate that. And it's been great. Mayor's been so supportive, so pushing to get things done out here. So thank you for that continued push. Slight off subject. Does anybody have a green Tacoma license plate with an HMV, the AAA sticker on there? If you do, please see Cass over here. Hey, Cass, you want to come grab your phone? All right. Let's get started with our first update. Before I do, I just want to again thank everybody for being here with all the information, all the booths, continuing to serve our community. We are very grateful for that. We're going to move forward with a update for the voluntary housing buyout program with Douglas Lay. Hand the mic to you.
Thank you. Again, good afternoon, everyone. I'm really here to represent the work that we've been doing through the voluntary housing buyout program. Really one piece of our recovery effort, but that's being led with a lot of heart and a lot of commitment from a number of our team here and the rest of the folks back at the office, Sam and Trisha, Amy, and Kīlauea, who are part of the operation tonight. Very quick updates. For those of you who are following the program, we continue to kind of hold steady at 260 primary home applications, and we're happy to report that we've done our first class closings with families just a few weeks back. As we ramp up to and get the rest of the closings to the process, We are working with just under 200 applications of second homes, and we are excited to launch next Monday, July 18th, Phase 3, which will enable undeveloped properties to apply for the program for the first time. Our staff are here to answer any questions you might have. We'll be doing announcements, we'll be doing some mailers for folks, especially for those who have already pre-registered, of which there are about 210 of the undeveloped properties. And for those of you who, or folks you know in the community who might be interested in the program, please contact us, 961-8996. Our staff will give program materials. And when we also open Phase 3, there will be an opportunity for folks who may have had primary homes or second homes to also apply. So essentially, this will be our last planned phase, and all property types will be able to apply. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions afterwards.
Thank you, Douglas. Yeah, so again, if you have any questions, yes, thank you. And if you have questions that you'd like to answer on the floor, Rochelle will have a, there she is, she'll have a paper for you. And otherwise, you can ask questions at the booth afterwards. Okay, our next update is going to be from Parks and Rec, Director Mo Messina. It's one of Mahalo Parks, the recovery team, and Council Representative District 4, Ashley Kierkiewicz, for really working together, and many folks from our community working to create a plan that's going to be good for everybody moving forward. So Mo, give me an update.
Afternoon, late early evening, everyone. I'm just going to give a quick overview of what we have going on in Puna. Like Mayor said, this is one of our best gym facilities on the island, but it is going to get better. With our FEMA funding, we're actually going to be replacing the flooring in here. About 3 or 4 months ago, we had a real bad flood come down through, and it actually come down into the floor area and ended up raising some of the tiles. We already have FEMA funding to replace the tiles, but instead what we're going to do is we're going to put a flooring that's kind of like a ton of every gym. It's more of just a pour flooring, poured out flooring. This flooring doesn't work well for pickleball and other things like that. So we're going to change the flooring, have another pickleball area, indoor soccer area, futsal area. And we're also going to be fixing the fields outside as well. And we're going to be doing that. We're going to be partnering with a group called Beyond Pesticides to introduce the proper microbes into the fields. Because as of last week, July 1st, Parks and Rec went glyphosate free in all of our parks. Thanks, Mayor, for signing that bill. Appreciate that. And so we're moving forward with that. Another thing that we're doing is Ashley made a request to us, and so did some of the business people, about opening up a park for community parking, especially on Saturday nights. So we're opening our park now. We're extending our security hours till 10 o'clock on Saturdays, so that there's not a lot of places to park out there, and my wife likes Woogie Woogie Pizza, so I run into the same issue. And so park users and renters of the community center, they're still going to have first priority, but if needed, we'll be opening up the other areas like at the pool parking lot if needed. We did that at your event last weekend, right? Seemed to work out pretty well, so we're moving forward with that too. And if you have any other suggestions for how we can help out the Puna community, just please let me or our deputy over there, Michelle, here know, and we'll get right on it. We also have, we finalized our plan with the Ohana for our submission to FEMA and HIEMA for what our initial park plan will look like. That's just so that we can get the ball moving. There's still going to be a couple of more community meetings as we progress when we start doing our environmental assessment and everything. So we'll be sure to let everyone know about that. Actually also push to make sure that we have money now to do an EA for the park and HPP. So we're going to be, once those funds come through the fair share account, we'll also be working on that. And the last thing is the mayor directed us a few weeks ago to head up a steering committee on how to get more access to the beaches and water in Puna. And so we're going to be working with community members on that. We already talked with Amadeo and John, and we have a good first step, a lot of questions, and as we move forward, we're going to be bringing more county folks and more community folks in on that. How do we get more beach access for you guys? And if you have any questions afterwards, we'll be sticking around. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you both. Appreciate that. Okay. Our next presenter. Hey, come on in, John. They're all hot seats. Pick any one of them. That's the hottest one. Good job. Okay. Speaking of the hot seat, I really want to thank McCall for being here from DLNR Go Board. I have a few words because I said I would do this. Let me do a little intro first. So Finn's here to provide an update on progress made to restore the Kawiki boat ramp. In the past, we've seen John Kitahara from the Limi Taiko Group present on this topic. The Limi Taiko Group, and John is the consultant for DLNR engaged in doing the engineering study as well as the EA. So, hot seat. Boat ramp, safe swim area. Please. Here you go. I said I'm going to keep pushing at it. We got to have a safe swim area for Kawiki. It's just important.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Yes, my name is Finn McCall. I'm the engineering branch head for the DLNR Division of Boating and Ocean Recreation. We manage the boat ramp at Kawiki. So the current status of the project is we are in the design and analysis phase, and we're working in conjunction with preparing the environmental assessment for the project. Our consultant is looking into do detailed analysis of how the wave energy will impact the dredge area that we do at Kawiki, and what kind of slope stabilization design needs to be done in order to protect the dredge area from getting undermined from the wave action in the ocean. So they're working real hard on trying to come up with a good, robust design. We are currently limited to funding constraints, so we're trying to find a design that fits within our budget. And in conjunction with that, they're also working on preparing the EA. And I have instructed our consultant, the Olympiaco Consulting Group, to include analysis of a swim area adjacent to the dredge channel that we're going to be doing for Kawiki. So I definitely understand the importance for that. I taught my son how to swim down there in Kawiki many years ago, so it's definitely it's a sweet spot in my heart. So, anyways, yeah, that's the update on the Kawiki project, and I'll be sticking around for questions for you. Thank you.
Thanks, Greg. Appreciate it. Thanks for being so courteous with putting me on the hot seat as well. Appreciate that. All right. We are going to now have an update from Water Supply, Deputy Kavika Uehara. Water has had a number of projects, received a bunch of money for infrastructure projects, and working desperately to get those back into areas to bring water back down to Kawiki, as well as various alternate projects, all within the Puna area. It's been really great working with the Water Department, as well as DPW, and the coordination and collaboration between these two. You'd think it would just be natural that they're always just working together, but you'd be surprised that most of the projects are distinct. And so coming together and really collaborating, it's been really, really positive. So I just want to say thank you for that. I'll hand the mic over to Kavika.
Thank you, Zendo, and thank you everybody for the time that the Department of Water Supply can provide an update, a recap. My name is Kavika Uehara, Deputy at Water Supply. So just to, recap the focus of our projects and the selection process. They're revolved around recovery, redundancy and resiliency, and regional benefit. So recovery is our projects to restore water to areas that were affected by the lava flow, down to Kawiki and Kokoho areas. Redundancy and resiliency, those projects will focus around building our existing systems and building more resiliency for like water lines, having parallel water lines so we can flow water back and forth. Redundancy, making sure we have enough source for the system and the region. And the third was regional benefits, projects that will help the area, the region of Puna, economically and with housing issues. And let's see, so one of our main focuses is the Kawiki Road water line and the Highway 137 water line. Those are our focuses. And also, we are also working on a Kokoa Village Road water line improvement and also a post office road water line. So those involve coordination with Public Works. We're actively working with them on that. And right now we're in the pre-planning phases and eventually into the environmental assessment phases for those. So we will be, throughout the process of this, providing updates on those projects. Thank you.
Thank you, Kavika. Okay, our next update will be from Department of Public Works. You're in the hot seat now, man. We've been working diligently with Department of Public Works, as well as Department of Water Supply. We have meetings every 2 weeks. They are so tired of dealing with Douglas and I, but we're there consistently meeting, working with them. We have our regular FEMA update meetings as well. So again, the collaboration has been really, really good. And I'd like to welcome Academic Director Steve Pazze.
Thanks, Zendo. Good afternoon, everyone. I am the new guy. I've previously been deputy director, and I've been on this hot seat for a couple of weeks. Thank you, Mayor. Even though I'm new, I have to say that I'm very much in tune with and have been participating in a lot of the work that's been ongoing here. Ramsey will talk later about the programming of EIS. When I worked at DEM, I actually wrote the work scope and was involved in that. And then I've been working with our engineering group for well over the past year and with the folks from Water Supply on the overall road project as well as the coordination on the water line. So I'm very familiar with what we've got going on. Really good news today to report on is the environmental assessment that FEMA is leading, that it covers our road work as well as the water lines, is progressing quite nicely. We had folks on island for almost a month. They finished their field work about a week ago. We're told that their initial draft EA should be done sometime in October. That pretty much stays on track with what we've been reporting previously, what Douglas has on the website and what you'll see on our schedule over there. So that's really good news. Another piece of information as well is DPW is working to bring a consulting engineer online or on our team to help us with the design. Typically, as you're all aware of the process, we cannot complete our final design on the roadway work until after the EA is done. But I bring along many years, I won't count how many, experience managing projects. And the overall coordination, and you'll see our schedule over there, there's opportunities to look at ways to improve our schedule. Right now it shows us going out into 25. Obviously we'd like to do better than that. So we'll be working with our consulting engineer, with our cohorts here at Water to really do everything we can as the EA comes to completion to be in a good position for our easements and our right-of-ways and everything in order and work as far as we can with design so that we can be in a good place to really hit the ground once we're in that place where the EA is finally complete. So again, it's an honor to be here, finally meet folks. I've been working in the back room on many of these projects for quite some time. I always like to tell people I have a face for radio, so I like to stay in the back, but I guess those days are over. So I look forward to be around, happy to answer any questions. Thank you all.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate the update. Right, now we are going to move on to an update from our Research and Development Department. For that, though, I'd like just to recognize Deputy Director Bob Agris for a moment, who was previously with the recovery team. He doesn't need to come and do anything. I'm just letting you know that there was this clean segue between recovery to R&D. We got a really great guy, a knowledgeable guy, that kind of bridges the gap between both, and we're grateful for that. I would like to welcome up Director Doug Adams of Research and Development to give an update on various opportunities in our community.
Thank you, Matt. I have to tell you that I am an optimist, not a cautious optimist, but a dangerous, risky optimist. right? Can't be cautious. You got to be risky. You got to take risks, right? Why am I an optimist? Well, first of all, everybody that's here, that's so awesome. Really, it's just amazing. I'm thinking about this as I'm driving here. I've been all over this island in a variety of listening sessions. I'm going to be a little longer than 2 minutes. And so it's to see a crowd like this that cares about the community like this is just, it makes me optimistic about this island. I really, really appreciate all the stuff that you guys are concerned about and care about. All right. So in research and development, we have a couple of things. I won't go through all the things that we're engaged in. I've got really great people, some that are here tonight, as a matter of fact, that can talk to you about a couple of things that I'm going to talk to you about. One is we do this annual innovation grant RFP, request for proposal, and it's an opportunity for nonprofits primarily to work together in some cases or on their own, come in and apply for grants that the county provides funding for, thank you, Councilmember, so that we can look for innovation, because we know that we've got creativity out in the community. And so that RFP is going to be available here by the end of the month, and there'll be about a month or so, it'll be at the month of August, for us to receive applications, and then we'll go into the process of reviewing those applications. So I just want to make sure that you're aware of that. That will also be available on our R&D website that's available at the county. So it's really easy to get to as well. The second thing is the Build Back Better Regional Challenge Grant. We have an awesome team of our agricultural specialists and our food system coordinator. And with those two in our department, they have formed the core of a coalition in our agricultural system here on the island. And you may have heard that we were successful, one of 60 recipients of Grant 1 funding from the Department of Commerce, Economic Development Administration, out of 529 applicants around the country. We have since made a second application for the neighborhood of between $50 to $60 million. We are looking to know whether or not we're successful with that application sometime in the next month and a half or so. We feel good about it, but of course we always knock on wood anytime we say that. So the idea though is that the funding that comes from that is designed to support 11 applications. It's a coalition of applications, some of which will be supportive of the efforts that are ongoing here as well. We also have our regenerative tourism and cultural resource management. Bob's a big piece of that, as well as our tourism specialist, tourism and cultural specialist, Risha Savaius, who many of you know because she's been involved with these things, as well as our new business development specialist, Michelle Ackerman. And so the work that's ongoing in that is being spread around the island. Conversations that you all are having here, the way that you're having those conversations are the way that we're beginning to have those conversations in other locations around the island. So it's really good stuff. We've also started with the Mayor Roth's administration. We created a position in the department called Community Wellbeing. As a result of that, we were able to apply for a grant in health literacy, advancing health literacy, as a part of both the COVID response and the chronic illness response that we have, particularly in those populations that are not necessarily always taken care of. And so that work, we've had that for about a year. We have another year of that grant going. And so we see good things coming out of that, being led by Community First as a part of a coalition of healthcare institutions around the island. And then finally, there's just a whole bunch of stuff that we're doing. But I would just say that the work that we're doing with mass transit, electrification of transportation, as well as with information technology and Department of Public Works, when it comes to the development of broadband, universal broadband, making it available for everybody around the island, that's a key piece for us. We know that there's work being done here in Puna. We also know that we need to make sure that it's available for everybody on the island. So with that, I'll take your questions later, or the smarter people in my department will, a few of whom I see here. and I'll leave it to Zendo. Thanks, Zendo.
Thanks, Brad. Appreciate that. Okay. We will now get an update from Environmental Management, our director, Ramsey Mansour. Puna's received funding from the EDA to complete a programmatic EIS to determine wastewater feasibility within the Puna region, as well as some funding from the state to take a deeper look into wastewater in Pahoa Town. Ramsey, can you please give us an update on that effort in Pahoa Town? Mahalo.
Aloha, everyone. Good evening. I want to thank first, definitely Councilmember Ashley and Doug for securing the grant. Elizabeth and his department was able to secure the funds from EDA to get us the money to do the study. I want to thank the mayor for matching some of the funds to do the feasibility study for Pahoa. So definitely we have two areas. We hired a consultant, ACOM consultant. We have a table here. If you guys have a question about the project itself, we'll be more than happy to answer any questions. But I want to make sure I mention a few major dates. We're going to have public scoping meeting October 12th. So at 5 o'clock, from 5 to 7, our staff will be handing out flyers for the meeting tonight, and we're going to definitely put it on the website. So we moved through the process of securing a consultant to start looking at the feasibility of trying to provide the wastewater services to the districts. Because as you know, most of the residential here is serviced either via cesspools or septic tanks. Does any one of you know what you guys have in cesspool or septic tank? Cesspool, raise your hand. I'm just kind of curious how many cesspools. Septic tank? So the most of you are already in compliance with Act 125, which is good. So you already dodged the bullet. But definitely, because of the infrastructure and the utilities, sewer considered part of the utility and infrastructure. So as this community is expanding, providing the wastewater could be an option. So that's what we're looking into. I'll entertain any questions after the meeting, our table at the end here. And we also oversee the solid waste too. So, it's easy to buy things, but it's hard to get rid of them in landfill. So I'll take questions as well. Our staff from the solid waste are here too. So we'll entertain any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ramsey. We are moving down. We are now to our last director update. We're going to get an update from Mass Transit Agency, John Ando. The county's received funds from the state public library system as well as the Federal Transit Agency to support planning and design for co-location of the library and transit hub in Puna. John will speak to where we are in the process of being our consultant and working through all the efforts to actually make this a reality. John.
Thank you, and aloha, and top of the afternoon. I'm John Ando. I'm the Mass Transit Administrator here at the Mass Transit Agency. And the bus is getting better, I would like to say. If some of you are familiar with the Helion system, I'm happy to say we have more service in the Puna district. We have buses running 7 days a week. We have paratransit service for those that have disabilities that can't ride traditional bus. And we're also buying new buses to finally replace the donated fleet that we've been running for many years. So you're going to start seeing some more excitement with the transit system over the course of the next year. We also have a new logo. So starting this summer, we're going to wrap every bus in the system with a brand new attractive paint scheme that features the lahua flower, and our colors red and green. So we'll have a consistent fleet island-wide. One exciting thing I'm happy to report is that we have secured grant funding, and we have a consultant that's going to help us finally build the Pahoa Transit Hub here in the Puna district. We got $270,000 from the Federal Transit Administration, $100,000 from the Office of Planning and Sustainability Development from the state, and up to $350,000 from the Hawaii Public Library System. And the ultimate goal is to build a community hub somewhere in the Puna district. We have 11 sites that we'll be looking at, and as part of that, potentially co-locating a library with that. So the Puna District can have a library for you guys to enjoy, connected with the transit system. SSFM is the consultant team that we've selected to help us through this effort. We're going to have public meetings to engage the community as we select one of these 11 sites, do the necessary environmental assessment, Title VI analysis, and then hopefully once we have a location, start the process to construct this transit hub, which the Helion system, which is presently all the routes are meeting at the Puna Thai Shopping Center, will transition over to this hub. I'd also like to add that we recently started a van pool program called Helion Hoa Holo. That van pool program is for people that need to commute to work, and basically you can form a group of people who need to go to a common destination, and we'll subsidize that trip at $500 per month, and then the commuting group pays for the difference of the cost of the van. So we Commute with Enterprise is our partner with this. We have 17 vans already on the road, and we're looking to have more. And this hub can definitely be a location for folks to take advantage of the van pool program. We're also involved with High Bike. That's the bike sharing system in Kīlauea, Kona, and in Hilo. And as part of the hub, we would like to bring some bike sharing down to the Puna district. So you can be looking forward to bicycle opportunities. Last thing I just want to mention is that the bus is free. It's free until 2023, and we'll be going to council to extend that to 2025 with a grant that we received from the federal government. So if you've never been on a Helion bus and you want an opportunity to go island-wide 7 days a week to airports, to recreation, to fun, shopping, it's free. Jump on the bus. We'd love to see you there. Thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
Thank you, John. Appreciate the update. See, there's a lot of work going on in Hawaii County, a lot of work and focus in Pahoa and Puna. I really appreciate the bus update. Person near and dear, the rides bus is the primary source, so thank you for that. We got some questions. I'm going to kind of come up front so I can hand off the microphone. I'll ask the question and then I'll hand it off. First one's for Parks and Rec. We have beautiful facilities in Pahoa. Are there plans to increase the classes and programs within our community? You can say it again.
Quick answer is yes. We want to expand opportunities out and wide. On Friday, we ended our summer fund programs, and the Pahoa Summer Fund was the largest on the entire island. And we're going to keep shooting for that. We're going to keep shooting to bring more. We have recreation directors and recreation technicians. It is their job to increase the opportunities for recreation classes and everything else in their facilities. We also have a very active elderly activities division here as well. And if you feel that there's some opportunities that are being missed, there's some new sports or something that you would like to try, or classes that you would like to attend, please give us a call and we'll see what we can do to make that happen. Thank you.
Okay, next one is for DPW. How do we stop roundabouts spraying along our roads near Papaya Farms Road? The community's feeling the effects.
Well, working with our highways group, there are areas that are off limits for spraying, and we just need to be notified of that. So whoever answered the question, please come and see me at the booth, and we'll get your contact information. But we are sensitive, our highways folks are sensitive, and if people don't want to spray, they won't be spraying.
Good answer. Thank you. Back to Parks and Rec. We're in urgent need of part-time lifeguards at the whole pool. Closed way too much.
Agreed again. We were allowed to, or through the finance director and the mayor, we have actually 9 new lifeguard positions that became funded on July 1st. We're right now going through the process of getting those, our request to bills in and getting those filled. We're also met with the Parks and Rec department on Oahu, and they have a volunteer lifeguard program that we are also going to be mirroring. We're bringing in volunteer lifeguards. If anybody would like to volunteer to be a lifeguard, we'll bring you in, we'll train you up with our folks. You will be allowed to lifeguard in our pools. And it's very simple. Once we get you certified, you only have to keep your certification up for 4 hours every 3 months. So it's not that big of of the time commitment, and it's helping us get the teams more time and getting folks more time in the pool. If you go to the pool right now, I counted 68 kids in the pool right now as we speak. So I agree, we need to try to get to 7 days a week, especially at our 3 biggest pools, which are Kona Pool, Kalamoto Pool, and Mikahoa Pool. And we're working towards that.
Next question is related to DPW. Reopening all of Kawiki Road ASAP is vital for not only our family, but for many other farms and homes that still have no main road access. We are struggling and feeling like we're treated like refugees. Please consider a temporary gravel road connecting Upper and Lower Kawiki Road. Dave?
I was popular for a little bit. I believe that issue's been addressed in the past, and I think what needs to be communicated is working with FEMA and working on this environmental assessment. There are specific things that we can and can't do. Our hands are somewhat tied by FEMA, by the funding from FEMA, and I know that folks before me took a hard look at this and actually worked with FEMA to see if there was any way that we could do anything in the interim. And the answer is no, because it puts the funding for the long-term restoration of Kawiki Road at risk. Having said that, and I made the statement earlier, I'm a project guy, and we have a schedule, and we've laid this all out, and we will be doing everything we possibly can, especially with our partners from water, to look at ways to expedite that work specifically. We hear you, we've heard you, and we will do everything we can to make the project go as fast as we can. We've got to get through the EA, and if all goes well, by early next year, we're going to be off and running. And again, I will be doing everything I can to look at ways to work as fast as we can on the restoration.
Okay, so the Puna CDP has identified road redundancy as a priority. Will the county be acquiring the connectivity locations specifically for Upper Puna as part of that question? Steve, you are in the hot seat. Build-out is making more and more viable options disappear. And will linear parks be integrated into the connectivity locations along the disaster distribution sites? I can talk to the linear parks along the disaster distribution sites. There are no current plans for that. Really focused on just getting our infrastructure back in and focus on the assets that we have talked about and giving options, updates on. Steve, you want to tackle the redundancy? Sure. So the Puna CDP, the Puna Community Development Plan, has identified road redundancy as a priority. When will the county be acquiring the connectivity locations specifically for Upper Puna Road? For Upper Puna.
So the answer to the question is, I don't know. I'm aware of a number of options that have been looked at for I guess it would be emergency egress. I know that some work was done on Government Beach Road as well. I know that we've been doing some various things with railroad, but I don't know the exact answer to that question. It's something that I could definitely follow up. And again, I'll be at the booth to combine CNEG, give you contact information. Also, go to the DPW website, you'll see my face and my email, and you can reach out. But I will follow up and bring an answer.
Steve. For Finn, please speak to the process that is required to transfer newly inundated coastal areas to the county or other community organizations to provide additional shoreline access, specifically Alanui and Waiapai, etc.
I don't know if I can answer that question in terms of, I'm not really sure what the question is, in terms of like where the new lava flowed and created essentially state lands, and how do we convert that to county lands? Is that the question?
Yes, sir, that is the question.
Okay. Yeah, so my understanding is the process for that is for the DLNR land division to do a withdrawal, or actually, there wouldn't be a withdrawal because there isn't any designation for it. They would have to do a set aside of whichever properties are being looked at, and it would have to be surveyed and everything. And the set aside document would establish the county having jurisdiction over that area.
Thank you.
Thanks, appreciate it. Mayor Roth has to take off. Just want to really appreciate Mayor Roth for being here, giving his attention, support, and pushing us to get things done. Let's give it up for Mayor Roth. Got another EIS question. I think it's the EA. So what's the result of the EIS for the beaches next to and downshore from Isaac Hawley Beach Park? It is important to me because the Hawley we occupy is adjoining the beach, the sand moves along regularly, and it's unpredictable. Are you guys focusing that far down within your process?
Sorry, unfortunately, our EA is only focused on the facility that's under our division and the boating division. So we're really only focusing on the environmental impacts to the project that we're doing, which is specifically the dredging. During the EA process, we'll certainly look at, and our consultants are also doing analysis on how the dredging is going to affect, the movement of sediment along the coastline. So during the EA process, that's another opportunity for us to take a closer look at that. And any concerns about that, we can certainly take a look at.
Thank you, Ben. For those that don't know, an EA is an environmental assessment, and an EIS is an environmental impact statement. I will try to make sure I explain what the acronyms are. I apologize. I've got a couple questions here. One is, why can't the planning department give a reprieve on lowest enforcement priority for those who live in lava zones 1 and 2 and want to rebuild? The planning department is not enforcing things to our knowledge, and if we get a complaint, we look into it and investigate, but I believe maybe that's a question more related to like building permits. If it is, that would be a building department question. So that's probably where we are, because I don't think from the planning side of it, it's pretty straightforward. Steve, do you want to speak to that?
I'm not aware of any enforcement or any of those issues. Zendo.
Okay, question for DWS. Why is the water tank at Hinalo Street not part of the recovery for water?
So I guess for everybody's bearings, if everybody must be familiar with the location of the tank is. I think when we look at it, the water line to restore water service down to Koiki boat ramp and also to the Kapo area didn't require that storage tank along the way down. Our storage is in Kapo town and gravity flows down to that area hydraulically. Right now it's not a part of the projects on our list.
Thank you, Kubiko. Okay, why is there no budget for the continuous sidewalk from the whole post office to Puna Kai? I don't even think that's in the CIP list. I think what, when we get to that, it's really about looking at doing a master plan for Pahoa and really looking at Pahoa holistically, and with the wastewater and the master plan work, council member and our office are doing, that's really where I think that will come together. We can get a good master plan. I think we all agree Pahoa needs a master plan, and then we can actually put that into the CIP and fund the projects holistically. Okay, emergency connections. We need more connections in and out of Lower Puna. It is dangerous. Steve?
Can John Endo answer this question?
Capital improvement projects. Yeah, we have two different budgets for the county. We have our operating budget, which is the budget that gets approved to operate our the various departments, general maintenance, kind of all the general facilities that you expect to be in operation of the county government. We have a separate budget, which is a CIP, a capital improvement project budget. And that's where you're going to find the bigger items on there, roadways, wastewater treatment facilities, etc. Those are generally funded by way of bond floats. So you go out for a bond, leverage the money, loan the money, then do the project. So the operating budget is funded, and we have to balance that each and every year. That's why sometimes it goes up, sometimes it goes down. So that's where CIP comes in. So I will work on those acronyms. I apologize. The question is almost a statement. We need more connectivity in Lower Puna. And I can kind of help with this. You want to know what will help with this? Right now it's really challenged because the roads are gone, right? It's just by default. So when we came in, the plan was really limited down 137. It's going to come down 132 and just stub out a little bit to Kapoho area, and that was where that was ending. Oiki Road was in motion to have happen, but we looked at it holistically from a connectivity standpoint, of circulation, and bringing infrastructure investment back into the area that was needed. The decision was made to open up 137 all the way through into Oiki Road. Beach Road is now open too. Grew up down on Beach Road, paved, whoever ever thought that. Now, there's other conversations around railroad and whatnot, and I think that's going to be a conversation to have. But right now, I think the goal is to really focus on the projects that we have at hand and get these done. Fair statement?
Yeah, I agree with that. And the other part of it, you mentioned just general community planning and what does the future hold? What looks best? What are our options for potential additional roads in the future? So, but I agree with Zendo that we've got a lot in front of us right now. We're going to pedal as fast as we can to restore the roads that we have in front of us.
Thanks, Steve. I've got a couple kind of longer questions around Puna geothermal. I'm not going to read the entire questions out. If you have additional questions, you can come see me or want more detail. Puna geothermal is about to start an EIS, or Environmental Impact Statement. That's going to open up for public comment, public review, etc. So that will be forthcoming. It'll be advertised. It'll be out there. So if you have further questions regarding, I know some light pollution challenges, noise, etc., this will be a really great opportunity to have a larger conversation around that. If you'd like more detail on that, please come and see me when we're done with this. And do you have something to add? Great.
So, as many of you may be aware, the folks at Puna Geothermal are having a meeting just over the neighborhood of the facility tomorrow at 4 o'clock. And so in addition to the ways that folks here at the county can help, tomorrow night's also a really good opportunity to connect with them on your questions. It'll be the first in-person meeting in about a year and a half, and so folks are really excited to reconnect, and a number of us will be there as well.
Thanks, fellas. Appreciate that. So actually, if you have any questions for that, just pop in. Okay, this one's for mass transit. What are the plans for the bus electrification and charging?
So we're in the process of implementing the transition to zero emissions. We have a grant for 4 35-foot electric buses with associated charging, and we're also working with the Federal Transit Administration to get an additional 10 more of electric buses that we would convert from our existing diesel bus grants. We're getting ready to release a request for proposals to purchase these buses in partnership with the counties of Maui and Hawaii, which we're the lead county for that. And hopefully we can make that award later on this year. We anticipate those buses to be delivered in a year and a half. So by early 2024, you'll start to see some electric buses on the road. I do also want to add, we do have one electric bus that our contractor, Roberts Hawaii, does provide to us. We primarily run that in Hilo, and we are getting ready to implement hydrogen buses in Kīlauea with 3 hydrogen buses that we've received.
Okay, so these two questions are very similar. One's related to DWS, one's related to DPW. Essentially, it's when's the projected date to get water back down to Kawiki, and when will Kawiki Road be open? Gentlemen, who'd like to take that question?
it's a very, very good question. The schedule is laid out. It's reported on the website. Obviously, we have a copy of it here as well. Please come by and take a look. I don't know the exact dates. Again, what you've heard from me all night is a commitment to not just settle with that schedule, but to make it work and to find ways that we can expedite things to get things done as quickly as possible. And with the water, it's the same thing. We've not worked through every single detail of how do you go about doing this project yet. There are ways to potentially start on one end of Pohiki and then the other end come together in the middle. We've not worked out all of the logistics, but working again with the water folks, we're going to come up with a scheme that allows us to go as quickly and efficiently as possible.
And just to add to the water side, as we bring, we're going to work as expeditiously as we can with DPW and the rest of the county team as far as procurement, once the design, the environmental assessment is complete and the design is done. When we actually get to construction, normally the road, the earthwork is always going to be first, and then the water line installation comes after that. As we've mentioned before, as we start our water line from the Pohoa side, the water line still needs to cross the fissure. So our design has to include some innovative type of water line crossing across those hot areas to get downhill to Pohoa East and Pohoa side. So it's going to be a work in progress. We're optimistic that we can figure out engineer ways to get our water line over the hot areas and to make that connectivity from the water connectivity from Pohoa downhill to Pohoa Iki and then over to Pohoa area.
Thanks, Kavika. You might think it's simple just bringing the water line back down to Pohiki, but actually seeing what they've had to do with ingenuity and engineering to make it happen has been a really big deal. I just want to really appreciate DWS and DPW for collaboratively working on that and really thinking outside of the box as it relates to getting the water line back down to Pohiki. So critical. Okay, Finn, when's the projected date for the boat harbor opening?
It's going to be contingent on our completion of the EA, and so right now we're targeting having the EA done by November. I think our past timeline was to have the project out to bid for construction by June of 2023. Don't quote me on that. I'll have to check with our consultant on where they're at in terms of the design and the permitting and all that. But I believe by 2024, we're hoping to have the boat ramp back open.
Thank you. Okay, there's a question about what public works projects are there. So I'm not going to go down the list of CIP projects, but you can find those online. You can Google search Hawaii County CIP projects. You're going to find fiscal year 22-23, and you'll find the list of all CIP projects for not only public works, but for Parks and Rec, for DEM, and you'll see there's a lot of demand on there. So if you have any challenges with that, please contact us at the planning department, and we will walk you through that. This one is for Doug with R&D. Universal broadband. Solve. Come on, Doug. That's the question. Universal broadband. How do you get there?
Zendo, let us know on that. When we're talking broadband, we're talking bringing it in off the coast onto the island. There's some work that is being done right now, a study that's going to be done because there's additional underwater cables that they're bringing across the ocean from South America, as well as the stuff that they're bringing from Australia area. The Australia area is pretty much connected to Oahu, and then we've got the connections through Maui to Hawaii Island from Oahu. But the connection from South America up to the islands, there's a real good chance that we may be able to connect directly off of that one to to this island. So there's going to be a study that's going to be funded for that by the state. In addition, you have the fiber circle around the belt road. And that is, if it is not completed, it will be completed within the next, I hate saying this, within the next couple of months. I think that we've been saying the next couple of months for years. It's really now a matter of software. I believe that the physical cable, the physical fiber is actually laid between the National Park headquarters and Pahala. And that's the last set. And that's going to do, that's already beginning to do wonderful things in terms of redundancy, particularly for our civil defense and first responder networks. And so that's great. What we're talking about right now is that middle mile, which is the branching off of that fiber on the belt road. And then you've got last mile kind of issues. So middle mile is what we're trying to fund, both with the American Rescue Plan Act funding that we have that has come to, some of that funding that's come to the county. So we're using some of that funding to support developing, actually to reduce some of the gaps that we have, in particular on supporting safety and public health areas. So first responder kind of areas, some of our shelters at Parks and Rec run, those are on some of those lists as well. Eventually we want to get to the point where we actually have places in the county where we don't actually have internet to those places, and we're still using paper to provide information to our own employees. So we need to get rid of that. And then finally, the last mile piece of this is making sure that we either have cable or we have Wi-Fi connections that are good connections that give you at least 100. Right now, the FCC is talking about 100 download, 20 upload. We would like to get to 100 download, 100 upload. We'll see if that's what the FCC allows. But we know that our providers are looking at something along those lines. And if we can get that to all of our residences and to all of our businesses, then we will have a good start on making sure that we're providing broadband for everybody that needs it.
Thank you, Doug. Okay. All subdivisions of Puna have only one road in and one road out. How will you address this? So this is going to be a collaboration, an ongoing effort. CDT talks about it, but at the end of the day, it's going to be a collaboration between planning and DPW, and then being creative on finding funding sources. Hopefully, with the federal grant money that's coming in, we can utilize that as another opportunity. We have a full steering committee for the federal grant program. We're putting together a whole matrix so we can really try to take advantage of every single federal grant opportunity that there is, working directly with Director Adams on that. And so I don't have the exact answer at this moment, but it is something that's definitely on mind and something that we're working towards. I also believe that this process of going through recovery and working together with cross departments has actually helped us come together to solve for a situation like this better. And so while there's challenge here, I also think there's a lot of uplift and opportunity with what we'll be able to do moving forward. If you want more detail on that, come and see me afterwards. Okay, this one, back to R&D. I was just notified that the county will no longer be supporting access to Grant Station. This decision is ill-timed considering all the grant writing workshops offered by the Vibrant Hawaii that have been completed online.
Yeah, so I'm the bad guy on this one. The timing had to do with when the contract was up. And when the contract was coming up, it didn't appear to us that there was actually much bang for the buck anymore. There's all kinds of opportunities to identify the grants that are available, whether it's from the federal government, the state, philanthropic organization. Grant Station just wasn't doing it for us. We are looking in the department at grant management software, and we're having conversations with what the kinds of opportunities that exist out there, what are the kinds of applications that exist out there. So those will then, we're going to take a look at, does it make sense for us to spend some money on those so that we can manage our grants. And what that means is less about understanding what the grants opportunities that are coming, because that's available. What we need to be able to do is also understand once those applications have been received, what are the reports? What are we learning? And how do we make sure that we're providing that information out to the community? That's the kind of stuff that we need to be doing, and that's what we're going to be spending money on here in the near future.
Thank you, Doug. Okay, next question. I think it's kind of at me. Why are we overlooking Orchid Land Neighbors' plan for a multi-purpose community center? They have land. Definitely not overlooking it. I'm aware of the project, had multiple conversations. It gets a lot more complicated when you get into these subdivisions. There are a lot of nuances and a lot of challenges. You think that you're actually going to go do something and you run into complications. Similar to how you can run into complications with the county. But the complication of both of those, it can get quite challenging. So I'd say on this one, come talk story with me some more. I don't think you get much more detail on that, but see what we can do. Another one for Doug. Sure. So Orchid Land community is very, very complicated. There's competing interests. There's the legal issues. We've had the conversation. I don't think this is necessarily the time to get into the complexity of that, because that's the true answer to how that's going to be, right? Okay. So as far as the money being spent that's coming in from this, each department has a distinct resource. And so we have money that came in for parks that's all going back into the projects that parks have picked out, which are around Kohiki. The water department has its money to recover water. I understand. My challenge is that we have to use those types of money for a distinct project. If it's for roads, it's going back to roads. If it's water, it's going back to water. And that's where I think we run into some of the challenges. So I'll talk with you more about it. Yeah. Quality health care is in short supply, but mental health care is even harder. What are plans for bringing more health care to our more vulnerable communities? Our Keiki and Kapuna, our veterans. R&D? Catch-all?
Actually, it's not a catch-all. As I mentioned before, not that you're ever wrong. I didn't mean that. The community well-being position was designed because the county didn't necessarily have resources to focus on the kind of things that you are concerned about. Education, healthcare, some of the social services, right? Those are often things those are typically state agencies, sometimes federal agencies. County has not had those kinds of responsibilities because we haven't had the resources, nor do we actually have the authority in many cases to do anything with those. We do have, for example, in Parks and Rec, we have the programs, the Kapuna program, we have some of the KP programs. In Office of Aging, they also have Kapuna programs there. But those are program-based. We didn't have really any advocates for the county to address issues that are engaged in that. So that's why the community well-being position was brought on. So we can identify at least somebody that could speak for the county, and by speaking for the county, speak for the county's residents. So when it comes to healthcare, we understand that you've got the Department of Health. We also have the Quality Health Care Systems Corporation that run the hospitals. Most of the hospitals here on the island. We know that Queens, that's North Hawaii. But here in East Hawaii, most of those are either Bay Clinic, now the new organization, which is, I guess, the Hawaii Island Community Health Center, And so, and then obviously all the rural health clinics that are popping up, as well as urgent care, et cetera. So that's the healthcare piece, and we know that there are issues associated with access. We know there's issues associated with just not having enough providers. Okay. Mental health. So we know that there are a variety of, well, there's just problems. We just don't have enough people to take care of the mental health issues that we have now and that we have had coming out of this COVID emergency. What the county is doing is the county is taking some of the American Rescue Plan funds that are received from the federal government and will be applying that to some of the mental health issues, in particular for youth-related mental health issues. And so it's going to be our plan. So one of the things that we did is that we hired an early childhood development coordinator. So on contract, we have Angela Thomas, who's well known in the field, to work on a variety of issues associated with early childhood development, child care, and in concert with our community well-being specialist, Yoshi Otake, working on the mental health issues associated with our young people, particularly our teens. And the idea will be to work with our education, Department of Education, the schools, so that we can begin to identify ways to work upstream, help them understand and develop coping mechanisms upstream, as opposed to trying to solve things when it's too late, when they're having issues downstream, if you will. And so funding from that is going to be applied. We're going to be working with a variety of organizations that are working on these kinds of things already. And so from a mental health perspective, that's one piece of it. A second piece has to do with our Office of Housing and Community Development. In the work that they're doing with our homeless population, we know that there are mental health concerns associated with that population as well. And so some of the funding that they are going to be receiving, or in fact receiving from the federal government, is also going to be applied to trying to work on those issues. Those issues are, as you can imagine, pretty different, right? And so we are paying attention to what each of us is doing, but our focus within the department is to work on the youth, young people's mental health, work with the Department of Education because of the funding that they're getting to do things with, whereas Office of Housing will be working specifically on some of the mental health concerns associated with the homeless population. That's not, what that is a telling you what we're doing. We hope to show you that within the next school year. Thanks.
Appreciate that. Okay, our final question in this format, and again, you can ask questions from the directors at their stations after this. This is for DEM. The announced discontinuance of the recycling high-five facility at the Volcano Transfer Station is of great concern to the Volcano community. What does the community need to do to continue high-five intake there? Taking away the service will severely impact Volcano's active recycling efforts. Randy.
Well, the good news is we did not discontinue that services. We put the contract out for bidding, but we had no bids, and nobody was interested. And the reason there was no interest because there was Saturday service. So we worked with Atlas, and we negotiated that they could open up on Thursday instead of Saturday, so the program is going to continue.
Good last question. You know, we started out this process under the Roth administration, committing that we're going to move the projects forward, committing that we would communicate effectively, communicate that we lean into the challenges. We were here quarterly. We're doing that. I feel like we're doing our very best to serve you folks in our community. Again, it's very challenged, but somebody that's really important to keep on pushing this. We have Mayor Roth on that side who pushes us. Another person that represents the community very well and continues to push and be a rudder along this process. Well, as an iron fist at times. which is needed. Councilwoman Ashley Kierkiewicz. Just want to appreciate her and turn it over to Ashley.
Thank you, Director. And just can you give it up for all the directors, states for being here. They're here on a quarterly basis, and give it up for yourselves. Thank you for taking an active interest in our community. I want to share a little bit of good news. Our office, in partnership with Parks and Recreation and Environmental Management, we just received an award from the National Endowment for the Arts, the Artstown Grant. We're doing something really innovative. We are going to be diverting number 2 and 5 plastics from the landfill, creating a new material and creating functional art that will be installed in parks around Hawaii Island. So excited about those possibilities and opportunities. We're going to be working with youth in various communities around the island to teach them about this really great technology. So be on the lookout for that. I want to thank Hawaii Tracker for being here and covering this event so that everybody that couldn't be here in person is able to access the content. So mahalo nui, Phil and Dan, for your contribution. Our 5th activation, the theme was growing together. Our food, our connection, our contribution. I want to thank Pohawa, Ikalani, Moku'u Market, and Smiley Burrows. All those plant cuttings, seedlings, seed outside, that's for you to take so that your ohana and your neighborhood can be food resilient. We're building our connection in these quarterly convenings. Tell your friends about it. I mean, we've got food trucks out there to feed you guys afterwards, so please come. And you can increase your contribution by joining a resilience capacity area. There is so much incredible work happening, not just by county, but driven by community. All of you can be a part of it. So please, check us out online, recovery.hawaiicounty.gov/Revitalize Puna. We're also on Facebook and Instagram, so follow us. I want to go back to something that Jim Ace had brought up about revitalizing Puna. Yes, lots of money for Lower Puna and Pahoa Town, absolutely. But let's not forget that there's an incredible amount of federal funding out there. R&D is going to be architecting a strategy because we're not going to see this kind of money in our lifetimes. So if you've got projects that you want funded, let the county know so that we can start working together and accessing those monies. I also want to do a shout out to Representative Chris Todd. Mahalo nui for being here. The state is also a very critical partner. When legislative session starts, we want to make sure that everything that we want funded for Puna is in the hands of our state legislators so that we can be building those capital stacks, putting our county, our state, our federal money together and actualizing these projects. So mahalo, Chris, for being here. Lastly, I just want to thank our team, County District 4, Recovery Division. Without all of you folks sweating it out, grinding it out on a weekly basis to make these events happen, we wouldn't be here. So I just want to take time to recognize my team, Chas and Jake, our Revitalize Puna coordinator, Zoe Callahan, and the rest of the recovery team, Derek Smith, Misty Pacheco, Misty Turner, Patty Pinto, Douglas Namo, recovery officer, Jen Myers, our communications director. We also have some AmeriCorps Vistas that are rounding out our team, Zeke, Erica, and Wyatt. And also folks staffing the welcome table, Bob Eggers, Tito Mercado, Jane Horike, and then members from the recovery team who have volunteered their time to help set up and be here, Trisha, Amy, Kikua, Sam. Please give it up for our panel. Okay, finally, we want to know what you think about these events. We want to make sure that every activation is the best possible experience. On the back of your agenda, there is a QR code. You can scan it, or you can type in that bit.ly link. We read every single one of these comments. There's an iterative process in our office where if something isn't working, we're going to fine-tune. That's not like county government or government in general, right? But we are a very nimble team. Share your honest feedback so that we can make sure that these experiences are really meaningful for you. And finally, we've got food truck vouchers. You see those beautiful posters on the way in? Go ahead and stick some stickers on there. We want to know where you think we are in terms of individual, households, community, and collective resilience. We did this exercise a year ago. We want to know, how are we doing? Where can we be doing better? So go ahead and put your dots on those poster boards, and you will get a voucher for one of our food trucks that are based in Puna. We've got Krusty Buns, A&J Kitchen, and Kalo Bum. So please, go ahead and complete that exercise. Thank you again for joining us. We hope this was well worth your time. All of the directors are going to be stationed at one of these tables here. If you have additional burning questions, they're here for you till 7 o'clock, so please take advantage of their presence. Take care, everyone. Mahalo nui.